The story opens with an intense scene as a lone figure navigates the aftermath of a brutal battle. The figure, who had crash-landed in an airship, finds herself amidst wreckage and chaos, struggling to get her bearings. The silence is overwhelming, a stark contrast to the cacophony of war she remembers. Upon regaining consciousness, she drags her aching body away from the crash towards safety, determined to find the ship she had been piloting. As she stumbles through the mist, the reality of her situation becomes apparent. She is utterly lost. The world has transformed into a blur of indistinct directions, and she can no longer feel pain. It's a scene painted with disorientation, where the sound of birds replacing gunfire seems surreal. Wandering aimlessly, she is seized by an overwhelming fatigue. As darkness falls, she finds solace under a tree, though her mind insists she cannot sleep. Despite her efforts, consciousness slips away, and she succumbs to exhaustion, her pain muted as sleep overtakes her. Meanwhile, in the imposing dragon god shrine in Solan, the imperial capital of Mephius, Empress Melissa Mepius elegantly prepares for an audience. Her poised demeanor belies an immense resolve as she calmly reflects, the hunting dogs have been released, signaling the beginning of what is sure to be a turbulent series of events. The story shifts to another location, the streets of Taulia, where chaos prevails. Smoke clings to the ruined buildings, inhabitants, displaced by war, shelter with their leader, Bu-Wen-Tados. The scars of a recent attack are still fresh, and the air is thick with a tense anticipation of further conflict. Rumors swirl among the townsfolk. They speculate about the attacking army, suspecting it could be forces from Mephius, led by a young noble known to them from prior hostile engagements. Whispers of familiarity with this enemy stir memories of Prince Gil Mephius, once associated with friendship but now a feared adversary. Yet, to the people of Taulia, these stories are shadowed by a prevailing desire for peace. Amidst the speculation, a sudden shift in energy transforms the atmosphere. As dawn breaks, the cry goes up, they're returning in triumph. The mood shifts from despair to exuberant relief. Soldiers who had been away return victorious, reigniting hope among the populace. The reunion is bittersweet for Bu-Wen-Tados, who bears the weight of the recent conflicts on his shoulders. Bu-Wen contemplates the recent skirmishes. Instead of signaling an end to their troubles, he senses a darker implication in the recent battles, perceiving them as harbingers of greater clashes to come. The military forces from Mephius encroaching further into their territory serve as a grim reminder that peace remains elusive. Amidst the celebrations, an injured soldier named Orba is brought back. Orba's heroics in the skirmish have left him barely hanging on to life. As Shikyu and Gilliam, fellow soldiers, regard Orba's battered form, it becomes clear that his return was not merely a triumphant homecoming but a desperate retreat from a brutal encounter. The task of caring for Orba falls to them. His condition is grave, nestled within the cart, he teeters on the brink of life and death. For Shikyu, uncovering Orba's face under his concealing mask feels like unraveling a mystery that's weighed heavily upon them. Although Gilliam urges him to act swiftly, Shikyu is compelled to consider their friend's privacy amidst his demise. Juxtaposed against the backdrop of triumph is the arrival of Princess Esmina Bazgan. Her unexpected visit to see Orba leaves Shikyu astounded. Members of royalty rarely deign to visit common soldiers. Esmina, however, shows a personal concern for Orba, imploring Shikyu for more information about his condition. Her presence in the soldiers' camp is a spectacle in and of itself, highlighting the flux of relationships within Taulia. Esmina's insistence to remain and tend to Orba speaks volumes of his impact and hints at deeper ties bound not only by loyalty but perhaps burgeoning affection. As Orba lies unconscious, Esmina's visit prompts a gathering of characters, each with their motives and stakes in the unfolding drama. Among them is Faisal, an esteemed physician, who presses onwards to provide aid. While he ponders the significance of Esmina's request, his primary focus remains on saving Orba. In this world teetering on the brink of wider conflict, the fates of individuals like Orba become entwined with the greater machinations of empires and the whims of those in power. The stage is set for an escalation of stakes, where personal vendettas and political maneuvering intertwine, crafting a tapestry of loyalty, betrayal, and survival. In the heart of Apta, at its westernmost tip, a tense crowd gathers, eyes fixed on the horizon with anxiety and trepidation. The people of Taulia stand united in the face of an advancing threat, their expressions a complex mix of hope and fear. The artillery fire that had earlier sung the praises of battle-tested warriors is starkly contrasted by the ominous quiet that now blankets them as they await the outcome of the conflict. Among them stands Nabal Meti, the commander-in-chief, whose heart burns with a defiant pride despite being gripped firmly by a sense of inescapable humiliation. Nabal has always been a man driven by the idea of victory. As he rides along the river Numos, his spirit is unyielded even in the face of fierce adversity. But his relentless drive is not enough to mask the reality of the situation. Defeat looms large over the proceedings. As the tide of battle turns, chaos grips Nabal's forces. A calculated pincer movement orchestrated by the enemy has decimated Darren's detached unit, leaving Nabal's hopes dashed. Yet, true to his nature, Nabal refuses to buckle under the weight of certainty. He knocks over a vase in a furious rage, resenting the whispers of treachery and betrayal that dance around the room. Into this scene steps Rogue Scion and Odine Lorgo, generals of the Silver Axe and Dawnlight Wings respectively. They have returned to Apta, tasked with maintaining the defensive line after Nabal's forces had suffered a crushing blow. Their entrance is not marked by the triumph of victory, but rather the somber hues of resignation as Nabal confronts them with prophecies of doom and betrayal. Does Taulia have a great number of soldiers? Nabal's voice is laden with disbelief, for the defeat he has faced fills him with shame. His strategy, carefully laid out, seems to have slipped through his fingers, dissolving in the face of unforeseen treachery. In a revelation that hits with the force of thunder, names spoken like venom hang in the air: Amephius, Villainer Owl, and treachery from within their ranks. The realization is like a dark cloud settling over Nabal. The betrayal of the princess whom they were bound by alliance has overturned the very balance of their standing. Faced with the accusations of treachery, Rogue and Odine exchange resigned glances. The possibility of such betrayal was unforeseeable, and yet they must weigh these claims against the roaring intensity of battle. The war seems to hang in balance on the tightrope of uncertain loyalties. Amidst this turmoil, Nabal's face is an eloquent portrait of strained disbelief. He can scarcely fathom the depth of the deceit that has been unfurled before them. The princess's actions, a poisonous slithering, strike the heart of their alliance with unparalleled ruin. Trying to piece together this complicated puzzle, Nabal commits himself to the cause, his resolve a bulwark against the seeping tide of despair. Orders fly from him like an unyielding tempest, strategies recalibrated even as the reality of betrayal gouges at the solidity of their trust. He prepares for what could be his final battlefield, thoughts heavy with duty and tradition. Rogue remains unfazed by matters of personal grudge against the West. His focus is on the broader picture, the allegiance he holds, even as he introspects on his age and the timeless doubts that don't quite fade. But his loyalty to Prince Gil, who chose friendship even in the shadow of betrayal, holds firm. Amidst these swirling revelations, Nabal struggles with the knowledge of imminent defeat. He broods over the landscape of his failure, a battlefield rife with more than just physical wounds but also the aching scars of compromised allegiances. His spirit remains, tethered to a duty to uphold honor, even when all seems lost. His thoughts are interrupted by a face from the past. A commander from Garbira, Kirill, arrives bearing unforeseen tidings, revealing betrayal at the highest levels. A princess unmoored, her whereabouts unknown since the Taulian confrontation. Kirill's assertion that she may have been acting on ulterior motives stirs Nabal's already fraught mind. Haunted by these revelations, Nabal faces an uncertain path ahead. New enemies and allies blur together in a hopeless array, his choices cobbled together by the fading light of duty and an unyielding sense of responsibility. As the shadows of battle encroach, Nabal is keenly aware that his role in this grand theatre may soon reach its ultimate climax. Yet the warrior within resolves to hold fast, even when the foundations around him quiver with the tremors of disloyalty and ignorance. As Nabal steels himself to face another day, the echoes of betrayal linger like a whisper, forgotten yet potent, casting long shadows over the path that remains. Entrenched in the struggles of identity and loyalty, Nabal feels the weight of the crown's expectations. His thoughts drift to his fallen companions, the camaraderie they shared, and the heavy burden that lingers in their absence. For Nabal, this war is more than just tactics and swordplay, it is a battle within himself, against doubt and shadow. Nabal's journey through these turbulent waters of war and deceit draws him back to the stalwart resolve of his own companions, to those who stood by him, if only for a fleeting moment. Yet he closes his mind to despair, anchoring himself in the certainty of purpose, even as the world around him teeters on the brink. In the dimly lit chamber, Nabal Meti addresses his imperial guards with a subtle impatience, reminding them of the gravity their mission holds. 7 long days have passed since they confined Huran, and still, they await further instructions from Solan. Anxiously, Nabal ponders aloud, is there no chance for escape? His words hang in the air as an unspoken challenge. Nearby, Goin, the seasoned warrior, stands surveying the soldiers. Each one is a coil of tension, eager to unravel. His eyes meet with Pashia's across the room, who returns a knowing glance, sharing an unvoiced concern. Towering among the guards is Ran's foster father, barely concealing his distress. Ran, ever watchful, perceives the tension between Goin and Pashia, offering silent camaraderie. Her disposition softens Goin's resolve, he recalls her sharp visage, unyielding despite their shared entrapment. Goin assures himself, it's not like she's on our side yet, a reminder of her ambiguous allegiance. As preparations for their execution steadily advance, the pressure mounts on Goin and his allies to forge a defiant path, meriting Hilda's concise input. What do you want with her? Hilda stuns them all with her simple probe aimed at Ran, revealing the spark of defiance within her heart. A subtle nod from Ran confirms Goin's unspoken hope. There lingers an unspoken plan, a nebulous thread of rebellion they dare not articulate, all bound by the collective need to not give away their readiness. With a nod and smile, Ran reassures her foster father, gently patting Goin's shoulder as if to say, I know and I'm here. This brief exchange ignites a flicker of hope amid the encroaching darkness, a reminder of their shared humanity. As they await their grim fate, Ran turns to practical tasks, tending to the dragons under the soldiers' watchful eyes. The soldiers, unable to mask their awe, comment on her deft handling of dragons, voicing their admonition, won't you look after us too? But Ran maintains a serene focus, ignoring their jibes, concentrating solely on their captive beasts. Meanwhile, Emperor Ghoul's mood darkens within the chambers of Solan, the majestic heart of Mephius. Towering powers gather to confront him on the strategic missteps concerning the recent failure with Taulia. Counselors enshrined in wisdom beseech him, we may now need to take the time to revise the plan, sensing the tremors beneath Ghoul's ambition. Wisdom permeates the chamber as the religious elders gaze at him, weighing the emperor's resolve and reminding him, there was no seat of honor. The absence of decorum resonates like judgment from the gods. Ghoul, masked by stoic composure, grapples with advice in response to rumors of waning power and faith echoing through the hollow chambers. Be strong, Ghoul Mephius, one elder urges with a whisper laced with unease but posing as authority, questioning the emperor's grasp over his nation's fading coalitions. From their vantage point, the future flaunts its impermanence. The dragon god's realm demands strength, immovable against the backdrop of renewed war with Garbira. Ghoul's silence, though, transcends into a determined declaration. Unyielding conviction infuses his voice as he proclaims sovereignty, setting his mind on his envisioned territory expansion, driven by his unwillingness to sheath his sword against Garbara's growing menace. In these moments, an ancient power struggles with the present, symbolizing Mephius's desire for the dominance of old. Ghoul persists, unrelenting, after Garbara's retaking of Apta, which had been done while the emperor was off to war with Garbira, cementing his inclination toward renewed conflict. These ambitions stir within the stone walls as Ghoul's iron will faces the possibility of crumbling. Outside the hallowed halls, Simon, elder statesman and Ghoul's trusted confidant, reflects on his lifelong duty to the empire while observing the world through the rain-swept window. The young Prince Gil once stood under his tutelage, fostered to rule. Yet Gil's unresolved fate haunts Simon, mired by secluded childhood and uncertainty. They plan vengeance, a slow simmer highlighting Gil's royal absence. Simon, in drear solitude, absorbs the burden of his loyalty to a throne vacant of true guidance, flipping through ancient texts for solace. With heavy hearts tangled amidst ambition and a forgotten promise, the narrative flows forward into Caden, where spirited warriors, Moldolf and Nilgif, the twin dragons, rouse from drunken slumber to breaking news, a potential Mephius invasion unsettling Taulia's truce. Their drunken haze evaporates under Lima's severity, fanning the flames of impending conflict. Banter lofts between them as they contemplate the implications, understanding well the web of deceit and ambition now tightening its grip around their homeland's sluggish peace. As the light of dawn gently breaks over the horizon, a sense of urgency envelops the city of Aelio. High-ranking officials and commanders gather, their expressions somber yet determined. The news of escalating conflict reaches them, prompting decisive action. Kaiden, a seasoned leader, stands firm as he prepares to dispatch a substantial force. Having talked with the staff officers, we will dispatch a combined force of 500 of Kaiden's cavalry and dragoons, he announces. This decision is not made lightly, as it represents a significant portion of their remaining military strength. The gravity of the situation becomes palpable. If Taulia falls, the West will surely collapse. In the midst of this tense atmosphere, Lima, a young and promising officer, steps forward alongside Moldorf, an experienced veteran. Kaiden's eyes are steady as he entrusts them with leading the troops. Blue Dragon. Red Dragon. You will leave at once, Kaiden instructs, the weight of responsibility heavy on their shoulders. Lima acknowledges the task with unwavering resolve, understanding the vital role they must play to protect their homeland. As Moldorf prepares to leave, he is reminded of a fellow warrior, Orba, who once stood valiantly against Garda. This warrior's strength was known throughout the land, and Moldorf can't help but wonder about his current whereabouts. That person is Mephian, Lima states, revealing the name that sparks a flicker of recognition and respect in Moldorf's eyes. Meanwhile, across the vast lands of Kaiden, the city of Aelio buzzes with anticipation. Amidst the backdrop of rebellion and countless battles, a hero emerges, Lasvius of the Red and Blue Dragons. His return to the city is met with elation. Rogi Aelio, the young prince of Aelio, personally welcomes Lasvius back, acknowledging his crucial role in the people's morale and leadership. Lasvius' presence infuses the warriors with renewed hope and strength, crucial as they prepare to face the looming threat from Mephius. However, within this momentous return lies a story of personal challenge and growth. Rogi, despite his youth and inexperience, finds himself thrust into a leadership position. The pressure to lead the troops weighs heavily on him, as every eye focuses on his next moves. Yet, his bold determination shines through as he addresses the gathered troops with unwavering confidence. You will lead them, Lasvius assures Rogi, conveying both trust and expectation. As the preparations continue, a ceremony to mark the impending battle unfolds. Rogi stands tall, laden with the responsibilities of a commander. He struggles to mask his nerves, yet his courage cuts through. Even in the face of mockery, he exhibits resilience, proving himself capable of rising to the challenge. They say that Lasvius has grown too big for his helmet, Rogi jokes, attempting to hide the anxiety simmering beneath his calm facade. Lasvius, watching from a distance, allows himself a moment of quiet reflection. The bond between mentor and student forms a foundation of strength and hope for the battle ahead. Rogi's growth and determination serve as testament to the shared ideals of those gathered, courage, unity, and the relentless pursuit of victory. Elsewhere, a grim scenario unfolds on the borders of Taulia. Axbazgan, the formidable governor-general, stands poised to protect the land from Mephius' encroaching forces. His alliances with the western cities and their leaders bolster their chances. However, Ax is all too aware of the steep odds, the precarious balance between strength and vulnerability evident in every decision. Messages from distant allies convey their readiness to join the fray. But Ax grapples with the weight of timing and execution. He receives a letter from an old friend urging him to rally support from nomadic tribes scattered near Aelio. The task demands Ax's characteristic foresight and diplomacy. Yet, within him, a steely resolve solidifies. If you thought about what would happen if the contents of this were leaked, it's short, he mumbles, laying down strategies as dark clouds foreshadow the approaching storm. Amidst the political maneuvering and battle preparations, a merchant embarks on a journey, his cargo a wealth of hope and alliances on the brink. His presence weaves through the narrative like a thread, binding unlikely kin together in shared purpose. As the conflict rages on, a scene unfolds in a faraway place. Orba, once an imperial crown prince in disguise, lies caught in a twisted nightmare. Mud pervades the air, mirroring the chaos swirling within his mind. Memories intertwine with phantoms, and pain blends with unwavering resolve. A single figure stands locked in his vision, Velina, accused of treachery, her fate teetering on the edge of despair. The sharp cries of judgment echo around Orba, urging him to intervene. He struggles futilely, his voice trapped within the depths of his dreams. Yet, despite the encroaching darkness, Orba remains defiant, determined to alter the course of events through sheer force of will. As reality seeps into his consciousness, Orba awakens in an infirmary, the remnants of his dream still clinging to his senses. Despite the overwhelming pain and doubt, an indomitable spirit resides within him, a reminder that the gods themselves may not determine his destiny. Determined, Orba faces each challenge with a heart steeled for the trials ahead. His journey intertwines with the fate of Taulia, Aelio, and all the lands teetering on the brink of chaos. In his heart lies the resolve to mend, protect, and fight for the world that spins precariously on the edge of war. The memory of a brutal battlefield experience haunts Orba as he awakens from a precarious coma, his chest and back bearing scars from a recent brush with death. Instinctively, he seeks the familiar comfort of a sword, a warrior's companion, only to find none beside him, just the raw sensation of healing wounds. Orba's reflection is interrupted as he absorbs the situation where he narrowly survived near death due to a gladiator poison, now miraculously shaken off, revealing how close he came to a bleak end. Emphasizing the persistent fragility of life, the attending physician provides perspective, urging him to pay homage to the temple for his renewed chance at life. Unsettling news awaits Orba as Faisal, a military man, steps in with updates. He makes it clear that in Orba's two-day oblivion, little has advanced on the war front. The political chessboard has barely shifted, except for whispers about the princess's enemy ties, threatening to destabilize tenuous peace. Despite Faisal's reassurances, Orba's mind churns with a mix of relief and trepidation. A message from Buwen greets him, shedding light on a fresh, troubling plot twist. The Princess Velina, a pivotal figure in the delicate Gabra-Mephian relations, has vanished without a trace. The announcement hangs ominously in the air. Could the enemy be maneuvering her disappearance as leverage? Nabal's counter-maneuvers result in a frustrating game of tag between pursuing troops and enemy forces, with Velina's fate uncertain. Orba instinctively frets over the implications if Velina were not to return to Mephius quickly. Diplomatic tensions would surely flare, threatening to ignite an already volatile situation. Shikyu, Orba's unwavering comrade, tries to ease the burden with his presence and counsel. Yet, Orba's resolve strengthens. He cannot stand idly by as looming chaos threatens both Velina and the fragile peace she represents. Despite Sheik's advisories and the risk of exposing himself, Orba decides he needs to act. Determined, Orba decides to search for Velina, spurred by the urgency of her abrupt absence. His mind is set, gathering whatever sparse clues he can muster. He silently vows to himself to retrieve her and restore the tenuous equilibrium between Mephius and Garbira. The weight of responsibility settles on Orba as he contemplates his role and the embedded implications of his actions on larger political dynamics. Each decision and indecision, a pivotal chapter in the unfolding tale of war, alliance, and betrayal. Leaving Shikyu behind, Orba charges towards the weight of his mission. As the narrative of war envelops Orba and his comrades, it sets a stage of tension and unpredictable turns, echoing with the heartbeats of personal and national destinies intertwined. Velina's honor and peace between nations hang by a thread, and Orba acknowledges that they must act swiftly and decisively. Amidst this boiling cauldron of political intrigue, Orba hangs on to hope, ready to embark on a path shadowed by danger and uncertainty. His determination burns bright, unfazed by the dangers that lie ahead, for he believes in the possibility of shaping a future carved from his own hands, a future where his blade might yet carve peace. Orba wrestles with the complicated dynamics surrounding Prince Gil. By questioning Mephius' orders, Orba risks defying Emperor Gul, a perilous move with significant repercussions. The presence of Prince Gil, whether alive or dead, hangs over every decision, symbolizing a ghost that Orba himself now aims to resurrect, a past mistake he is determined to correct. Amidst this tense atmosphere, Shikyu confronts Orba, accusing him of being colloquially challenged in their quarrel. Sheik's words pierce through the air. I get it, I see now, as he teases Orba for his abrupt orders. There's an undercurrent of camaraderie despite the confrontation, suggesting deeper loyalties and bonds. After Shikyu departs, Orba reflects on his motivations. He mockingly questions whether he truly comprehends the scale of his actions. Losing himself in thoughts, Orba confronts the metaphorical ghost of guilt he carries regarding the prince's fate. His actions leading up to this moment replay like a war inside his head, mingling regret with resolute determination. As night envelops the scene, Shikyu is on horseback, riding into the darkness, weighted with Orba's secret plans. The transition from day to night mirrors the internal chaos within Orba and his companions. Shikyu, reminiscing about his past efforts to mimic Orba's penmanship, acknowledges the loyalty that Orba inspires, a loyalty etched as deeply and indelibly as the flames of war themselves. Upon reaching his destination, Shikyu encounters a barrier. Natok's subordinates surround him. They question Sheik's intent with pointed suspicion. Shikyu, ever agile in wits, deflects with excuses. I'm only here as I'm a Mephian, yet his innocent demeanor barely masks the underlying tension. The dialogue with Natok's men turns tense as Sheik's patience thins, confronting the accusations head-on. Anticipated blame regarding Garda's curse hangs over him, suggesting a strategic move by his true adversaries. Meanwhile, Orba remains a mysterious figure, his connections and past shrouded in uncertainty, leaving Shikyu to navigate the precarious social labyrinth. As Shikyu feigns frustration, geared to leave the Taulian mercenaries behind, the raw, unexpected show of violence abruptly ends conversations as weapons are aimed, but Sheik's clever maneuvering allows him to escape unscathed. When surrounded, Shikyu resorts to words again, coaxing and provoking those around him with a devilish charm that only Shikyu could muster. Meanwhile, Gilliam orchestrates his escape, anticipation building in the heavy silence around them. The ease with which he deflects Natok's men draws laughter from Shikyu, even amidst danger. The dance of chaos continues, reflecting a brotherhood formed through gladiatorial bonds now tested by shifting political landscapes. Gilliam remains the calm in the storm, masking his awareness of Shikyu and Orba's strategy with humor. They spar with words, but the undercurrent reveals a clear understanding. This world, drenched in politics and war, leaves little room for misplaced trust. The weight of their experiences transforms into resilience, even as the recruits of the 5th Army Corps storm Orba's room. Orba's mask remains on, concealing his true intentions and emotions as the soldiers demand his presence. Unlike the past, Orba stands firm, a lifeline he suppresses as a looming reminder of everything he fights for. Guarding his most meaningful possession, a gift from Princess Esmina, he embodies the complexity of a man on the brink of redemption. Parallelly, in another world, Axbazgan, within his celebratory village setting, experiences an evening tinged with nostalgia and pleasure. Ax, immersed amidst festivities, reflects on his newfound status. Despite the celebration, thoughts drift to Jaina's dance, a reminder of comforts past and the pains of reality lacing his every decision. Engulfed by music and reverie, leadership now feels surreal to him, every success juxtaposed against the simplicity he once knew. Ax attempts to grasp the night's fleeting beauty, calling out to Tahir, engaging with both memory and present. Entangled in the light of lamps and reminiscences, he lets the warmth of the night embrace his tired, ambitious self, longing, even momentarily, for past joys amidst the uncertain future that awaits. Ax finds himself in a precarious situation, grappling with the realization that he is immobilized by Tari, a woman who has him under her control. The scene unfolds with a dagger poised threateningly toward his heart. Despite feeling entrapped, Ax can't help but admire Tari's grace, even when his life hangs by a thread, almost as if he is an audience member witnessing a dramatic play. Amidst the tension, a mysterious noise pierces the room, akin to a violent upheaval that shatters the stillness. It evokes fear and uncertainty. As Tari seems ready to end Ax's life, a dragon's roar echoes through the air, momentarily halting her deadly intent. Outside, a commotion arises among the soldiers, who are equally puzzled by the sudden appearance of dragons. The soldiers clamor to drive away the mystical beasts that have disrupted their world. Tari's hold over the situation begins to slip, and the soldiers encompass the lodgings. In a moment of quick reflex, Ax lunges for a rope, brilliantly capturing the attention of the dragons ensnaring Tari. The moment shifts as Axe, with an astonishing display of skill, maneuvers to subdue Tari without harming her. Still, questions simmer beneath the surface. A figure from the darkness speaks up, revealing concerns about Axe's mysterious guests, including the enigmatic Tari who identifies herself with a past that draws intrigue and suspicion. As the confrontation unfolds, Axe learns of a larger threat revolving around the name Ravan in connection with Garda. Tari speaks cryptically about the unfathomable schemes that lurk in silent corners of their world. This revelation sends an unsettling chill through Axe, compelling him to enact swift measures for security, further fueling the tension around them. Transcending this turmoil, the narrative shifts to Roan, a man witnessing a blend of mystery and domesticity back in his village. Roan returns home to a peculiar encounter, dazed by a stranger's presence amidst his mundane life. A man, barely clinging to life, becomes a poignant symbol of the enigmas Roan is unwittingly drawn into. Roan's daughter, unchanged in her caring nature, tends to the stranger, who bears wounds without a clear origin. Roan contemplates the unexpected turn of events that upend the quiet existence of their family. Rumors of the stranger's origins blend into tales of royalty and shipwrecks, stories extravagant enough to defy belief, yet too carved out of sheer possibility to dismiss outright. The man's appearance becomes intertwined with speculations that swirl through the village, each tale laden with possibilities of royal descent or exiled nobility. Amidst these whispers, Roan recalls past times of turmoil and schemes, aligning them with the present undercurrents of chaos now reaching their doorstep. As the narrative unfolds, Roan's family confronts vestiges of past turmoil, their history marked by imperial ambitions and personal vendettas, notably with Gil's forceful assertions and the traumatic incidents that led them from their homeland to this serene yet enigmatic village. The past and present merge in Roan's reflections, rekindling memories of the oppressive forces they escaped and the enduring hope for peace. It becomes clear that the family's refuge might not have distanced them sufficiently from enduring threats that span across empires. A new day dawns with unease as Roan recalls the declaration of a perilous engagement, a union that once threatened familial safety under the guise of nobility. He relives the relief they found upon leaving behind the oppressive chains of courtly machinations. Yet, amidst this veil of uncertainty, Roan cherishes moments of tranquility and domestic harmony, underscoring the resilience and unity that characterize his family amid the shadows of looming danger. They prepare for another day, equipped with shared strength, aware that their solace remains as fragile as the enigma lying in their midst. Roan Kazad stands at the door, his eyes lingering thoughtfully after the guest has left. He reflects on Viya's presence and recalls his interactions with her in the quiet city of Solan. Despite knowing many emperors, none intrigued him as deeply as she does. He considers the different classes, pondering what wisdom the understanding provides to those who were born into higher social standings. In a bid to learn more about the accident that injured a man and girl, Roan resolves to keep a close watch over the girl, Viya. Reflecting on how his actions would help him maintain his faith, he muses on the sound of a gunshot echoing in his mind, hinting at an ominous past. The gaze at the room's window shifts to the glistening morning light, highlighting Viya's platinum hair. As the narrative unfolds, Viya's backstory begins to unravel, how Roan discovered her on the mountain path and took her in after her collapse. Viya, a royal princess, had mysteriously gone missing, leading to wild rumors. Her true intentions, however, were to ease the tension between Mephius and Taulia and uncover a web of secrets surrounding her. Viya clings tightly to the warmth of a given blanket. She decides to stay and remedy the agonizing conflict between the two places by visiting Taulia. Though tempted to leave and avoid her duties, she realizes she was saved by undeserved kindness from strangers in a land where she holds no sway. Her thoughts shift to her past, a time when her rights and etiquette as royalty had been thoroughly instilled in her. Viya had witnessed Roan making her feel noteworthy merely by speaking. Yet, now lost in a foreign land with no power, she embraces a newfound humility. Layla, a friendly companion, offers a slice of bread as a gesture of camaraderie, illustrating Viya's internal struggle of accepting help and lowering her guard. Layla questions the significance of Viya's amulet, guiding their conversation towards a revelation. Viya remains straightforward, denying any hidden message within the amulet, the simple intimacy of sharing a meal marking the depth of their unspoken understanding. Transitioning to a lavish setting, Zenon Owl stands amidst the admiration, yet his spirit remains dampened by an encounter days ago. The noble atmosphere of power and tradition exudes from Kotjun House. Zenon, tasked with assisting his family's affairs, contemplates on the grand celebrations they have engrossed themselves in after their newfound wealth, echoing 3 generations of noble development since the Kotjun House prospered through their dragonbone trade. Rinoa Kotjun enters, known for her straightforwardness and lack of concern for status, develops a note of tension with Zenon. Their dialogue dances between playful teasing and weighty discussions. Rinoa's voice cleverly masks any sarcasm, embedding truth within her quick wit and tongue. As veracity becomes intertwined in their conversation, Zenon remains engaged in Rinoa's light-hearted query about his unusual dealings with Sir Salzantes. The interplay between their shared histories unfolds, diving into the expedition's rumors and allegiance. Despite their comfortable banter, Zenon is reminded of the fierce narrative surrounding his past quarrels, yet he remains seemingly unfazed. Meanwhile, the gathering continues. Nobility, masked in social intricacies, share glances at the unfolding dialogue. Hidden beneath their expressions lies a deeper intrigue, touching upon the forgotten truths of lost siblings and veiled enemies plotting from the shadows. Zenon ruminates over a bitter realization about the failed justice system driven by past experiences, being doctrined by indifference, where allegiance seemed transactional. As the narrative begins focusing on the conversations evolving around the presence of Mephius troops and VROs as underlying mission, Zenon contemplates the continual dealings surrounding justice and chivalry, acknowledging complexities before him. The weight of these tales pushes Zenon to rethink his role and actions within the larger scheme. Salamand, a name resonant from past battlefields, stands firm in reputation alongside Zenon, a silent yet stormy ally. Yet, beneath it all, suspicion looms. Amidst Zenon's musings, the arrival of Salamand diverts his path. Both noblemen discuss the gravity of action against speculations and ideals, debating the essence of annoyance in unyielding perceptions and the essence of chivalry itself. This subtlety remains layered yet unsaid, a moment of calm before surrendering to mutual curiosity. While Zenon ponders on the uncertain future and destiny laden within his path, a subtle stir of reflection intertwines within. Amidst heavy connotations, curiosity and cautious eagerness breathe life into Zenon's engagement with Rinoa and Salamand, an exploration unknown, encapsulating the dichotomy of honor and reality within every unspoken word. Under the tense atmosphere of the room, Zenon faces Rinoa, trying to understand their evolving relationship amidst the chaos swirling around them. It's evident that Zenon is torn. As he reflects on his duty and personal feelings, Rinoa surprises him by asking for a dance, the tension between them palpable yet unspoken. Meanwhile, the narrative shifts to End, a country once united under the Grand Duchy, now fragmented by discord. The death of Grand Duke Sodius has plunged the nation into a relentless struggle for succession. Without the unifying figure of Zodius, the various factions have splintered, each vying for power. End's borders have become a patchwork of shifting allegiances as neighboring countries exploit the instability. One significant figure is Eric, the second prince, who observes the turmoil carefully. He grapples with the legacy of his family, particularly his brother Jeremy's reckless decisions, which have exacerbated tensions with Garbira. Eric recognizes the danger Jeremy's actions pose, especially the deceit used to drag the prestigious Garbira into conflict under false pretenses. Eric's reflections highlight the tragic consequences of their dynastic struggle. In the capital's heart, Hezel, once a feared figure in the Bureau of Sorcery, faces a grim reality after his imprisonment. Stripped of power and influence, Hezel is now a prisoner, summoned by Woden, a sorcerer, who reminds him of his past authority and the new dynamics Eric's reign could usher. Despite Hezel's weakened state, he confronts the pivotal role of sorcery in the ongoing power struggles. Hezel's conversation with Woden reveals the underlying scheming for control, as they toy with the idea of manipulating relationships between the powerful nations of Garbira, Mephius, and End. The clandestine goals involve destabilizing these alliances, creating conditions ripe for their own ambitions to flourish. Amidst these machinations, Eric and his loyalists weigh their strategies within the chaotic power vacuum. His sense of strategic caution contrasts sharply with his brother's impulsive nature. Eric, pragmatic yet morally conflicted, seeks a path to stabilize and without succumbing to brutal subjugation. Elsewhere, AKS, a member of the Dawnlight Wings division, navigates the politically charged environment of Aper Fortress. He encounters Pashir, now under suspicion due to rumors of past affiliations with Mephius. Pashir's history as a gladiator and his disillusionment with the war highlight the deep divisions within their ranks. The array of soldiers, some coerced and others seeking personal gain, embody the fractured nature of their current state. AKS's internal struggle mirrors the broader military uncertainties as zealot soldiers, once fiercely loyal to their commanders, now question their allegiances. Caught amid suspicion and duty, AKS is unwittingly drawn towards a mysterious woman, her enigmatic presence adding another layer to the murky intrigue. This intricate dance of loyalty, betrayal, and ambition unfolds under the watchful eyes of power players, each seeking to shape the future of their fractured world while dealing with the ghosts of their past. As tensions rise and alliances shift like sand, the fate of End hangs precariously, swayed by hidden motives and the currents of relentless ambition. Rogue Rose stands enveloped in tense silence, having just recognized the voice behind the door. As Shikyu steps into the light, Rogue can't help but be astonished at this reunion. The lingering memory of their past association flashes through Rogue's mind, how he had once encountered Shikyu as a mere servant acting under his master's designs. "Your presence here caught me off guard," Rogue admits, unable to mask his surprise. Yet, a part of his mind teeters on the edge of comprehension. It's not just Sheik's presence that raises questions, but the situation that surrounds it. Once a subordinate of his friend, now Shikyu, disguised as a woman, stands before him. "General, please, your voice," Shikyu interrupts, laying a finger on his lips. The arrival of a servant inadvertently triggers a flashback for both, as Rogue recalls the importance of remaining cautious. Their surroundings demand it. Regaining composure, Rogue respectfully tells Shikyu of his astonishment. Shikyu brings urgent news that rattles Rogue further: Prince Gil Mephius is alive. This revelation throws Rogue into a mix of disbelief and hope. He painstakingly processes every implication of the message, absorbing the reality that the attempt on the prince's life was a facade, a strategic sacrifice. "In 3 days," Rogue murmurs, his mind racing through the possible repercussions. With the upcoming confrontation on the horizon, the prince could reveal himself, thereby nullifying General Ubri's conspiracy. This could be a play to expose true loyalties and restore the semblance of reliability to their ranks. Shikyu watches as Rogue's breathing stabilizes, sensing his internal struggle. Yet, acknowledging the criticality, Rogue remains resolute. "The prince is alive," Shikyu assures, reinforcing the conviction. Their dialogue turns to logistics. Rogue, contemplating their future steps, remains steadfast. Returning to the West is now inevitable, he concedes, despite the potential risks awaiting him. Yet Shikyu challenges this notion, torn between loyalties and understanding the delicate balance of their situation. Rogue, steadfast in his decision, stands firm on his resolve. He knows the rapid withdrawal is crucial, for now is not the time for splintered factions. Unity is paramount to the crown. "Have you seen a doctor?" Rogue's eyes fall on the wound Shikyu bears. The bullet remains lodged, an irony given it couldn't be treated due to their precarious situation. Sheik's face twists in recognition of this truth, yet he humorously suggests a soldier friend would soon attend to him. Their brief moment of levity aside, Sheik's health is swiftly prioritized. Rogue ensures Shikyu receives proper treatment, aware of the immense value of his ally in the unfolding narrative. Exhaustion visibly washes over Shikyu, and he succumbs to rest. Left to momentary solitude, Rogue's thoughts are interrupted by the window's unyielding presence, a reflection of his resolve or a barrier to freedom. It remains unclear. Yet the letter's weight is undeniable, inscribing an irreversible path before them. A recollection emerges, how everything began and how transformative their journey has been. For Shikyu, the weight of his legacy loomed large, yet his destiny intertwined with a grander plot. His mother's whispers echo, laden with the weight of their noble lineage and the undeniable burden it entailed. Shikyu reflects on the sacrifice endured under familial expectations. His mother's embrace, both a comfort and a curse, imparted the skills necessary for navigating their complex world. Lessons of swordplay and oratory shaped Shikyu into a figure of significance. Swiftly returning to present matters, Sheik's journey concludes at Apta, a fortress marked by unrest. Encountering Gowon and others, he perceives an atmosphere dense with uncertainty. The familiar rhythm of the soldiers' lives brings him peace even as change loiters ahead. The narrative shifts to an unsettling commotion, who Ran, seized by soldiers, confronts peril with harrowing bravery. As chaos unfurls, a shadow descends upon the encroaching threat. The Bayan, a dragon, ensnares Ran's attacker. Her presence calms the beast, their connection profound and unspoken. As Nabal absorbs this unexpected turn, his mind teeters between disbelief and grudging respect. Ran's bond with the dragons defies understanding, yet it's undeniable. Her influence has saved them from greater peril, though the spectre of execution now looms large. Meanwhile, Orba's saga weaves onwards. Buwen Teidos comes into focus, contemplating the knotty circumstances surrounding their network of alliances. He acknowledges the strategic complexity of their alliances across Taulia, a delicate dagger hovering at their throats. As conspirators plot their path, lingering questions about loyalty manifest. Buwen grapples with Orba's current predicament, shrouded in mystery. Yet, despite veiled threats and unknown allegiances, clarity emerges on how Orba remains pivotal to their scheme. Orba remains a figure of enigmatic influence, whose presence embodies key stakes for multiple factions. In leveraging his influence, Buwen braces to wield the connections that bind their fates, preparing for the unfolding convergence of destinies amidst imminent tides of war. Thus ensue intricate reflections and precise maneuvers within the volatile landscape where alliances and loyalties collide, each character poised, like chess pieces, on the brink of decisive moves. For though uncertainties proliferate, the steady march of fate beckons them toward its inevitable climax. Orba sits restlessly, trying to piece together the complex web of alliances and schemes surrounding him. With Buwen Teidos having left, Orba is left grappling with his own choices and the weight of his masked identity. Buwen had come not just to visit, but also to deliver unsettling news related to Mephius and a supposed alliance that seemed to hang over everyone's head like a shadow. Orba, unsure of Mephius's intentions, recalls the advice given to him: nothing is heavier than an empty word. Amidst these deep thoughts, Orba is visited by memories of past battles, particularly with the great generals Moldorf and Nilgif. He envisions himself throwing the spear against their prowess, desperately seeking a way to address the challenges before him. It's not bad, but, he muses, recognizing the enormous strength that figures like Moldorf embody on the battlefield. Orba remains pensive, feeling a bone-deep longing to clarify his path. He has been living under an alias, essentially a pawn in a grander game. Responsibility weighs heavily, and the decisions he must make seem more daunting than ever. The reminder that he has been granted 3 days only adds to the pressure, as a gnawing urgency forces him to confront what he truly desires. Desire for peace and conflicting emotions stir within him. Even though I'm no bad Nai believer, Orba reflects, yearning to become a hero, one that leads his country to victory and glory. Yet, his ambitions are clouded with the harsh realities of the political chessboard he is stuck in. The laughter erupts unexpectedly, echoing regret and a sense of lost purpose. It's stupid, he mutters, haunted by memories and voices of the past that remind him of what he's trying to save. Outside, rumors continue to swirl, seeping into every corner of the Red Dragon camp. Buwen Teidos faces inquiries from within his own ranks, with people questioning the validity of the Orba situation. Lasvius and Aelio's Dragoon Corps watch closely, their suspicions barely veiled. Each faction has sent a representative to understand the implications of this perceived alliance with Mephius. Even Princess Lima Cardane's interests are piqued, her concern adding complexity to Orba's situation. Revealing Orba's true identity, the old strategist Ravan Dole gathers his thoughts. Confronted by Buwen, Orba's request to seek out Mephius is put forth. Despite Buwen's skepticism, Orba insists. To Mephius, he repeats, his voice laced with determination. Orba believes tapping into the strength of an ally he knows from Apta could change everything and prevent bloodshed if acted upon in time. Ravan, analyzing Orba's earnestness, lays out a stark truth: Ghoul Mephius trusts no one, an empire gleaming with a superficial power masking internal restless chaos. Yet Orba remains adamant, stating, "I will not tolerate a single soldier from either side crossing the border." He wishes to manipulate the politics in his favor, but Ravan warns against naive overconfidence, knowing how precarious the Mephian situation is. Once the interaction concludes, Orba stands alone in a quiet room, reflecting on Ravan Dole's parting suggestion, "To avoid a war with Mephius, we will demonstrate our power to the utmost." As the weight of those words settles over him, Orba faces the daunting task of navigating the looming storm without revealing his true face, still bound by the heavy mask that symbolizes his hidden identity and uncertain future. His resolve, though tested and marked by laughter tinged with bitter irony, steadies him. Orba, the masked prince, the reluctant hero, prepares to stride into the fray, where betrayal and salvation are indistinguishable from each other, and where his choices could either ignite war or herald peace. Orba, recently freed from confinement, steps into an air bustling with anticipation as he rides toward Apta. The crisp breeze catches his new short hair, a visible reminder of change. Unfamiliar with the area, he is searching for his footing, trying to understand his place in the unfolding drama. As part of his journey, Princess Esmina, who was entwined in Orba's ventures, must be informed of certain truths, part of a delicate plan to weave together lies and reality like a fine tapestry. In his path, many plans are already in motion. Before Orba's departure, Ravan instructs Natok to oversee matters in his absence, hinting at Orba's new responsibilities. Do not let him suffer a single hardship, Ravan tells Natok, ensuring the allegiance still holds. With an army of 6 guards, Orba resumes his journey to Apta, a distant gaze toward a sky burning with the promise of something significant. Meanwhile, a distinct group is crossing the land, a band of over 50 Zerdian men moving with purpose. They are in Mephian territory, guided by a powerful, yet invisible resolve. Are they seeking enemies or hidden allies? As they navigate this unfriendly landscape, their thoughts drift to times when they felt at home here, evoking both nostalgia and determination. The scene shifts to a village where Princess Velina has nestled for 8 days. Under the guise of Luna, she adapts to her new life, blending into the warmth provided by the Joyce family. Here, she indulges in simple delights like drawing water and cooking, moments seemingly trivial but deeply cherished. Despite her longing, Velina remains ever mindful of her purpose. Her heart still thrums with the distant echoes of her grandfather's teachings, shaping her as she contemplates the choices before her. Though Layla, her caretaker and confidant, gently teases her about matters of the heart, Velina's thoughts are anchored to her responsibilities. Yet, she ponders what home truly means. The villagers' simple lives are soon interrupted by the approach of a Zerdian group, led by Kirill. The presence of Mephian soldiers, tasked with a seemingly benign mission, sets the scene for inevitable tension. As Kirill questions his next moves, the Mephians engage in uneasy dialogue, unaware of the full extent of the Zerdian intentions. Velina, ever observant, becomes aware of the tension threading through her temporary home. The villagers display muted courage as they encounter the soldiers, their simple lives momentarily overshadowed by this unexpected convergence of fate and strategy. Her mind is a storm of questions and premonitions, and as the day fades, the weight of her decisions grows more tangible. As Kirill contemplates an attack, he faces a moral dilemma. Should he risk Velina's safety to achieve a broader victory? His hesitation is profound, knowing that any misstep could lead to her peril. Yet, laying traps in the shadows of looming danger, he prepares his men with quiet resolution. The day unravels in violence. An unexpected ambush erupts, ripping the calm. Kirill's men, cleverly hidden, take this moment to strike. Taulian forces, appearing from the trees, ignite fear and chaos among the Mephian soldiers, their panic an unseen wave. Villagers scatter, their cries punctuating the air. As the conflict reaches its height, Velina stands as a beacon of calm amid the storm. Her presence is a double-edged sword in this unfolding saga. Kirill, capturing a soldier's desperation, calls her name, seeking both aid and solace from her amidst the chaos. Flashes of courage define this fierce engagement. The Mephians, caught off guard and overwhelmed, falter as the village becomes a battlefield. Yet, the attack becomes not just a clash of arms but of wills and destinies. Eventually, as dust and smoke begin to settle, Kirill finds himself gravely injured. his fall and subsequent loss of life are marked by a silence heavy enough to fill the village. Blood spills, evidence of resolve and sacrifice staining the ground as Velina watches in empathetic horror, a silent testament to relentless ambition and tragic loss. As day turns to night, the echoes of battle linger. Velina stands amid those left to grapple with the results, her mind consumed with what comes next. Despite the weight of the day's events, she remains a figure of unwavering strength, her resolve now tempered with newfound wisdom. Here, under the sky reddened by the battles of the day, life persists, moving forward in its relentless march towards tomorrow. In this crucible, alliances are tested, loyalties forged, and identities revealed, ensuring that the legacy of each choice is inscribed on the tapestry of their fates. Velina finds herself in a perilous situation as Kirill charges at her, his intent clear and deadly. As she prepares to dodge, her foot catches on Layla, who is crouched at her feet. Velina falls, instinctively covering Layla with her body, an action driven by the warmth and protection she felt from Layla over the past days. Kirill seizes this moment, his blade ready to strike. Meanwhile, in a tent setting at Apta's dragon training ground, Rogue Scion prepares to deliver an important speech. Amidst thick stakes and gathered troops, plans are underway following an incident involving Taulian forces. These days have been fraught with suspicion and unresolved tensions. Rogue reviews the swirling accusations and seeks clarity amidst the chaos. No evidence connects them with Taulia. Yet, there is a contentious push for an execution, rooted in an alleged assassination attempt involving Taulia soldiers. Rogue allows his thoughts to gather as he reads a letter from Crown Prince Gilmephius, which arrives at a crucial moment. It provides him an opportunity to gamble on action. Believe what? Odine asks, probing Rogue's mind as they reflect on pivotal decisions. Rogue mentions the resistance to Odine's own doubts and how circumstances allow time to reconsider their stance. Amidst brewing anticipation, Rogue grapples with the complexities of leadership and loyalty. He admits to being dissatisfied with the current state under Mephius but still aims for good judgment. In a moment charged with camaraderie, Rogue affirms, if it dawns the next day, signifying hope and defiance even against fierce odds. Odine senses the shift in Rogue's determination. Night falls, and tensions rise. As the stakes burn, a sense of anticipation looms large over the Mephius forces, reflecting the gripping scenario. Soldiers from beyond Taulia join forces, secrecy masking their identities as the group stealthily advances. Orba, maintaining a hood to conceal his face, rides forward, alert to the pressing threat. A fire blazes in their path, and Orba's heart stirs with urgency. A village is being attacked, he realizes, the sight triggering memories of his youth. Flames lick the sky, and voices of terror echo as figures flee the encroaching doom. Orba's resolve strengthens as memories of his past anguish over the same scene come rushing back. Orba's determination leads him to act against the invading chaos despite the grave risk. We'll get as close as we can to the border, he insists, urging his horse onward. Time presses, the urgency cuts deeper. A group of Taulian soldiers hastily discuss options, but Orba remains resolute, focused on his path. Meanwhile, Roan, accompanied safely by Velina and Layla, comes face to face with Kirill. Kirill, with a sharp gaze, advances but Roan is ready, gun aimed. The tension between them bristles as a recognition arises between Velina and Kirill. Roan warns, don't move. As the confrontation sharpens, actions move swiftly, but Velina fires a shot, determined and clear-eyed. Velina's defiance is met by Kirill's unsettling mirth. He lauds her for her resilience and, while injury clouds Roan's vision, his world narrows on the protection of his beloved daughter and wife. Desperation and valor entwine as they maneuver amidst blades and booming threats. Blood pulsates, both metaphorically and literally, in the adrenaline-fueled skirmish that unfolds. Roan manages to intercept Kirill's path but becomes swiftly aware of their tenuous position. In a treacherous dance of lethal strikes and protective instincts, the stakes culminate dramatically, with Roan striving to ensure safety for Velina amid the brewing chaos. Yet, as the scene escalates, it becomes undeniable that Kirill doesn't intend to merely inflict pain for enjoyment. A deeper, more sinister goal lurks. As accusations fly and intent becomes questioned in this battlefield bathed in fire and shadows, Velina's determination flares brightly, fiercely defying the malevolent forces at hand. Velina's voice rings out, commanding Kirill to stop. Her desperation is palpable, a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, her pleas will sway him. But Kirill's ears are closed, focused entirely on the task at hand. He turns, somewhat surprised by Velina's interruption. Her voice had become calm, contrasting sharply with the urgency of her message. She calls Kirill a waste with the potential to do so much good, yet all he uses his talents for is cruelty and violence. Kirill hesitates for a moment, and Velina notices a flicker of recognition before he returns to his task, dismissing her words. Yet Velina, undeterred, continues to speak, ignoring Kirill's mocking laughter. Her determination is evident as she calls on any remaining hope, any remaining strength to protect the remnants of Gabara's royal family. Despite her exhaustion, Velina clings to consciousness, straining for any sign of rescue or aid. "Somebody, hurry, hurry!" she whispers through cracked lips, her voice barely audible over the chaos. Her thoughts wander to the young prince, Roan, and her partner Layla, all in danger. The air around them thickens as it becomes increasingly clear that Velina's cries might be in vain. Yet she refuses to give up. And then, a shadowy figure appears, a man wearing an iron mask, standing defiantly against Kirill. Orba. Orba's presence is barely noticed as he battles within himself, grappling with what he has become. Memories of the past flood back, of triumphs and failures as a gladiator. His heart pounds in his chest as he charges forward, determined to protect Velina and the others. Kirill, realizing the threat that Orba poses, turns his full attention to him. The battle is fierce, both displaying masterful skill and relentless determination. Kirill holds the upper hand initially, his full strength directed against Orba. However, as Orba adapts to Kirill's rhythm and fighting style, the tide begins to turn. Sparks fly from their clashing swords, each resounding louder than the last. In a surprising maneuver, Orba rolls away from Kirill's attack, dodging with a boomerang-like grace. He capitalizes on a critical moment when Kirill is momentarily off balance, striking swiftly. "Somebody," Velina's earlier whisper echoes in his mind, pushing him onward. Finally, Orba lands a decisive blow, his longsword slicing through the night air. Kirill falls with a gasp, disbelief and anger etched across his face, words caught in his throat as the darkness descends upon him. Around them, the tide of battle shifts. With Kirill's fall, the remaining Mephian soldiers lose their fervor, and the chaos slowly wanes. Orba stands amidst the turmoil, panting, the enormity of the confrontation settling over him. His mind spins with both triumph and the weight of loss. The aftermath is brutal, bodies strewn across the battlefield. But amidst this darkness lies hope. As the enemy soldiers retreat, Velina's safety is finally secured. Orba approaches her lifeless form, his heart pounding with renewed urgency. He cradles her frail body in his arms, whispering words of reassurance. Yet, as he looks down, any immediate sense of relief is shattered. Velina seems still, her face devoid of color. But then, miraculously, her eyelids flutter, a soft gasp escaping her lips. She is alive, and as Orba holds her, tears threaten to break free. She whispers his name, barely audible, before losing consciousness again. The soldiers regroup, the contrast between the night's chaos and the calm of the dawn stark and jarring. They move cautiously, aware that the battle has left deep scars, both physical and emotional. Orba watches as dawn stretches across the horizon, its soft hues blending into the sky, signaling a new beginning. In the aftermath of the conflict, Orba finds himself reflected in the gazes of those around him. Recognition, respect, and a sliver of fear. His role becomes clear, not just as a warrior but as a symbol of hope for many. With care, he lays Velina down gently and steps back, giving her room to breathe, both physically and metaphorically, in this new dawn. With weary eyes, Orba gazes into the distance, contemplating what the future holds, understanding fully that, although they survived the night, the journey ahead is fraught with challenges. His heart is intertwined with the fate of Gabara's royal family, and there's an awareness that this is only the beginning of a much larger struggle. As the last of the battle's noise fades into the early morning calm, Orba takes a deep, steadying breath. The bindings of his own identity, both mask and reality, rest heavily on his shoulders. Yet, beneath it all, a determination pulses through him, a commitment to see through the promise made under the stars to protect. And as he turns towards the hopeful glow of the day, he knows it's a path he must forge, not for himself alone, but for all who believed in him when the night was at its darkest. In the tense atmosphere surrounding Apta, rumors swirl around the imperial guards. Once slaves now brought dignity under the prince. As it stated, it was definitely all invented before the court could start a war with the West. Amidst these rumors, Pascal and Nabal conspire to turn this unrest to their advantage, aiming to create further discord. Pasha, a key member of the elite guards, finds himself in a precarious situation. Having once been a slave himself, Pasha is now entwined with the fate of Goin, whose calm demeanor offers Pasha some solace. Goin has a daughter who has escaped execution, which brings him comfort amidst the turmoil. He encourages Goin, reminding him of his daughter's resilience and courage, saying, "She's a clever girl. Much trickier than those people who look down on her." Orba, the masked warrior and central figure in the unfolding events, experiences a mix of guilt and determination. Today marks the execution day, a grim reminder of the choices he has to make. With the stakes high, Rogue Scion and Odine Lorgo contemplate their options as Orba watches, waiting for the right moment to act. Rogue, decisive and commanding, finally gives the order to fire. The calm morning air is split by the soldier's execution, yet the weight on Orba's shoulders only increases. His mind races with plans and strategies to navigate the chaos swirling around them. In an unexpected turn of events, Rogue decides to confront Emperor Mephius directly, saying, "I will wage war on the Emperor of Mephius, the two of us, here from Apta." Rogue's unexpected defiance sparks a glimmer of hope among his men, even as they stand on the precipice of conflict. Just as tensions reach their zenith, a message arrives: Taulian soldiers have been sighted on the other side of the river Unos. This revelation sparks a frantic rush as Rogue and the others climb to a vantage point to assess the situation. The soldiers appear to be Mephian prisoners, a twist nobody anticipates. The scene shifts to Nabal's surprise as Taulian soldiers return the prisoners. Questions rise, but answers are sparse. Rogue, skeptical yet observant, speaks with the returning soldiers. Their presence, a symbol of something larger at play, opens new avenues for action. The conversation turns to accusations about the assassination of Crown Prince Gil. Rogue, with unyielding conviction, counters, "Do you believe that? That Taulia really did assassinate Crown Prince Gil?" The declaration challenges Nabal's stance, pushing for clarity amid swirling rumors and suspicions. Nabal grapples with Rogue's unfaltering defiance as Rogue questions the integrity of the imperial family's decisions. The tension mounts as Rogue suggests examining the situation with clear eyes, unafraid of the vast implications of their actions. Suddenly, a realization dawns as the figure once known and revered, Crown Prince Gil, reveals his presence. The mask of mystery lifts at that moment, as Gil Mephius reclaims his place in the saga's heart, the sun casting light upon a narrative poised to alter the tides of history.